sometimes when I get to talking about stuff that I have an interest in, I can really get on a roll and get going. But this is a long overdue update on my build for Frankie Day's historical aircraft. And life has really had me by the danglies lately. I haven't had a lot of modeling time. And I've gotten way behind on this as the deadline or the ending of it is next week. And now knowing how Frankie is, he'll give everybody extra time. But I want to get this finished because I've also got doing Cohen's Curse group build, and I've got 2 more group builds that I want to participate in coming up. So I want to finish this week. But just to tell you where I am, everything's basically done. When I started this, I said that I was going to rattle can it, I was going to spray can it. At that time, as I was doing my research, all the photographs and everything I'd looked at about the P-38 in bare metal was there's a nice, there's several of these left in museum quality throughout the world. And I've been looking at those, and of course the museum pieces are refurbished and they're nice and they're shiny and everything. But a friend of mine who is happens to be a history teacher and a World War II aficionado provided me with, I went to his place and was able to look at a lot of photographs of the P-38s, particularly the ones with bare metal finishes in action. And the museum pieces are like looking in a mirror. They're shiny, they're nice, they're flawless. The ones that were in were totally different. And what I noticed on all of them was just the wear on the bare metal. And I've been at this scale with a bare metal finish. I've been going with a can because I was concerned about brush strokes. But when I looked at the photographs, what I noticed was with wear and everything, and most of these with the bare metal finish were in the Pacific Theater, and so they were in a coastal environment or ocean environment, salt air, wind. But what I noticed was this streaking, just that naturally took place in the metal of the aircraft. So what I wanted to do was recreate just that natural streaking, the discoloration that developed on the hull and the fuselage. Now, I use enamels. I thought about going to acrylic, and then I didn't. And then I was kind of inspired by what I'd seen on Gary making models again. And everybody's probably, or most of you, if you haven't, you go check out this video, seen the technique where he takes a burnishing brush and he puts on a layer, and then he just brushes the hell out of it until it's just, and then he puts on a different shade and he does the same thing, and then he puts on a different shade, he does the same thing, and comes up with this amazing streaking, weathering, fading effect. Now, I didn't want to completely emulate that because this is bare metal, and I just wanted a subtle streaking. Plus, he uses acrylic, and I use enamels. Well, the first thing is I didn't have a burnishing brush, but a light bulb went off in my head, so I decided to pursue it because that rarely happens. I got an idea. These are utility brushes, whatever you want to call them. I got a bag of these, I think like 10 of them, for $2 at the art supply, Hobby Lobby. And they're just utility brushes. They're not really good for paint or really a lot as far as what we do. But it's good if you're using rubber cement, you're making a diorama, those type of things. So I really hadn't used them. But what I did was, they're pretty loose at this length, but when I cut it off, it kind of emulated what Gary was using because it's extremely stiff extremely harsh. So what I did was I used 3 different shades. I used a silver, I used a metallic steel, and I used an aluminum, and it had a black, I started with a black primer. And what it was with each layer is I would just dip this into, not lacquer, into white spirits, and then I would dab it till it was virtually dry, but it just had enough white spirits on it to make that paint streak when I did this. And so I would do that, let it dry, and then come back with it dry and really, you know, go to town on it. And I did this with each layer, and I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera, you know, or in this light, but what it did was it gave me what I wanted. It gave me this coloration. You see different shades. You can actually see the dark black shining through, and it's what I was aiming for, or close to. Not exactly what I was aiming for, but it's in a finished state. Okay, and we'll see how it looks once we put a coat on and weathering. So where I am right now, and try to finish this video up, is the painting's done. So I'm gonna take off all my masking, do my detail painting. I got to put on a couple little bits and bobs like the bay door, and then we're just putting a gloss coat on and decaling. Throwing on the decals. It's funny because I used to say decals, and then I get on with the modeling community, and half of them say decals and half say decals. I guess it's funny that I said decals anyway. I'm an American, but now I go both ways. I don't know what follows a D. I say decaling and I say decals. But anyway, we've got to do that, and then some weathering, and we shall be done. And my hope for that is to have that done by Thursday or Friday, and then we'll do a final reveal. Okay, that is it. That's all, and I'll talk more about the kit and everything on the final reveal, because it had a lot of pros and cons, and excuse me, it had a few pros and a lot of cons, but I knew what I was getting into. So yeah, there it is. You guys have a fantastic day. Love your family. Love your hobby. Later.